Some of you haven't been rejected enough, and it shows. Welcome back. Today I want to talk about rejection and why rejection is redirection. As you may know, I have recently left my previous job, which means that I'm now in the process of finding a new one. I think it's fair to say that no one particularly enjoys the process of finding a new job. The reason being that you will be rejected. And that hurts. Because of course, you know that you're great. You know your qualities. You know your capabilities. But a recruiter or a potential employer will only see the surface level of what your CV provides. And even if you make the perfect ATS optimized CV for this particular job that you in your head know you would be the perfect candidate, they might not see it that way because they don't have the information that you have. Which is exactly my point. In job application, rejection is expected. You know that before you find your new job, you will probably be left on red by recruiters, you will never hear back from them, or you will actively be rejected, saying, we are so sorry to inform you, not the right fit, you don't meet the qualifications, blah, 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 blah. There are so many ways how you can be rejected in the process of finding a new job. And there it is expected, but it still, of course, hurts. But then there's so many other situations where you can feel rejection. Rejected by your friends, by your family, rejection in dating, for example. I think this is especially something that people struggle with a lot when you go on a date and it goes really well, or you like someone, you have feelings, and then you open yourself up, or even you don't, but for some reason you still get rejected. And I want to underline again, in job applications, you know your qualifications, you know what you can do, you know that even if maybe you don't have the precise experience that they're looking for, you know what you're capable of, but they don't. They don't have all the information. They were not there your entire life when you had to overcome challenges, when you had to prove yourself time and time again, when you had to become tougher or harder or learn something new, and then you actually succeeded. They don't know that. The recruiter can't know that, of course not. Even if you go on an interview for an hour or if you have a 10-minute screening call with them, how are they supposed to know this? So don't take it personal because they can't know. And the same applies to every other scenario in which you can be rejected as well. They don't have all the information that you have. They don't know what you know. Stop taking rejection as offense to your personality. Because there are endless reasons as to why you can be rejected in the context of dating, friendships, maybe also it has been you, maybe it is your personality, maybe you just have not been a nice friend, a good person to date, maybe you have been overstepping boundaries, absolutely. But today I don't want to talk about this kind of rejection. Today I want to talk about the rejection that feels unjustified, that feels painful to handle. This is one part of why you shouldn't take it personally, because they just lack the information that you might have. You don't have to be religious or superstitious or believe in astrology to feel like there is a bigger plan for you. Because maybe there isn't, and that's also totally fine. I'm well aware that most likely this is all at random, but randomness had led me to the point where I'm at now. And so many decisions had to be made. So many things had to happen exactly the way they happened for me to end up here. And I had to face so many rejections to ultimately end up here. I had to be rejected by a plethora of unsuitable men to ultimately end up with my current partner. And if I would have not been rejected prior, I would not have ended up in this place. So even in the moment that you are currently experiencing this rejection and you feel the pain and the uncomfortableness and you feel this hurt or this pain because you tie rejection to yourself and your personality as opposed to the bigger plan of moving you to the point where you're supposed to be, even then, reminding yourself time and time again that rejection is redirection, in whatever context you are being rejected, that can change your life. Because then no amount of rejection can ever hurt you again. Because you'll just be grateful. Oh, thank God this didn't work out. Thank God this situationship that I've been in for 3 years did not work out. Thank God I did not get the job where I would have never ever been happy. Thank God this didn't work out. Thank God I didn't get this apartment. Because now I have this other apartment. And even though you can argue that this is kind of superstitious or delusional, but so what? It's your life. If you want to be delusional, and if that gets you further, then be my guest. There were so many instances where I thought I wanted something, experienced rejection, and then the place where I ended up was actually better than the version where I thought I would want to be. So sometimes it is the best that you can do for your peace of mind to be grateful for rejection, to be grateful to be redirected to the place where you'll eventually end up. And I always say this to my girlfriends who are dating people and they overthink this message that they have to write. Should I text him to do something this weekend or next weekend? I don't want to seem too pushy, blah, 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 blah. First of all, if it's meant to be, you can't do it wrong. That's the nice thing about the place or the person where you meant to be with, is that if it's meant to be, it doesn't matter if you text them today or tomorrow, you can't ruin it, you can't fuck it up. And it's the same with everything in life, where you're supposed to end up, that is going to happen. Sitting in rejection is the price that you have to pay for ultimately ending up where you're supposed to be. I used to be so stuck trying to figure out, why does it not work out? Why do they not want me? Why did I not get this job? Why was I not accepted into the school? Why? And I can tell you, this thinking never gets you anywhere. Because most likely, in 99% of cases, you will never get the answer to this why. You can think about it, you can annoy your friends for the 100th time about why this guy did not want you, or you could use that energy to move forward, go on another date, and find someone who actually is interested in you. Or find a job that actually better suits what you're looking for. Or find an apartment that actually has a better location than the one that you were rejected for. And I take this delusion so far as to say, when I'm, for example, stuck in traffic, or when I take the train again to Germany and end up being 2 hours later than I had anticipated. In the moment, of course, it's frustrating. But I like to think about the burnt toast theory, where one instance of something bad occurring protects you for an even worse situation occurring. So maybe, I was 2 hours late with the train, but maybe if I would have been on time, I would have ended up in a car crash in Germany. And I know this is really dramatic, but this type of mindset shift helps put things in perspective and move on faster than just dwelling on it and being stuck on it. I say this knowing well that I have to work on this myself, but especially when it comes to dealing with rejection, I have definitely gotten more confident sitting in the uncomfortableness of being rejected and then also moving on as fast as possible. Because my life is too short to search for the why, to try to get others to satisfy my need for approval. And I think especially the lack of information they have on you, the landlord, the person that you're dating, the recruiter, the hiring manager, whatever context, they don't have all the information you have. So don't take it personally. They can't know what you know. This is just the universe's way, the universe or God or fate or destiny or whatever you like to call it, whatever you believe in. This is just the path for you to find out where you're actually supposed to be at. If you keep repeating to yourself that rejection is redirection, this won't hurt you again, ever. This is also very closely linked to a point I made in my 10 things I wish I knew at 20 video when I was talking about how everything is a win if experience is the goal. Very similar. anything is a win if experience is the goal. And what you can gain from rejection is experience. The experience that, oh, actually, this was not meant for me. And I would not have been happy going down this path anyway. And of course, the only way that you find out about whether this was good or not is time. That's the only remedy for this pain to go away. But once you see it, it all makes sense. And if that takes 5 more years, 10 more years, 20 more years, it doesn't matter. But at one point you will see the bigger picture of why this rejection had to happen in order for something else to come up. And it's really fascinating in hindsight to understand, oh, now I get why XYZ didn't work out. Of course it couldn't have worked out. Of course it shouldn't have worked out. Because if this would have worked out, this other thing that's way better than what I wanted initially would have not happened. So welcome rejection like an old friend or new friend actually. See it as your constant companion, your constant teacher or tutor to move your life forward. And your constant navigation to help you find where you're actually supposed to be. And my last point before I end this video is seek out rejection. Increase your surface area for rejection, because with that you can also increase your surface area for approval, for acceptance, and you never know where that might take you. So go out, apply for way more jobs, apply for way more difficult jobs, get rejected, aim higher, date more people, and get rejected more often, and be grateful for every rejection that you get. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I'll see you next time. Or not. Thank you. Bye bye.